The night was wearing on and the weight of my eyelids reminded me that it was time to head home. After a grueling shift at the diner, I longed for the comfort of my bed. With my phone's battery teetering on the edge, I hastily booked an Uber, my fingers crossed for a swift ride home. The car arrived, a nondescript sedan, its interior a welcome refuge from the biting cold. Sliding into the back seat, I mumbled my thanks, barely registering the driver's silhouette against the dim glow of the dashboard. "Rough night?" he asked, his voice a flat, emotionless drone that I attributed to the late hour. "Yeah, just tired," I replied, my gaze fixed on the passing city lights, their blare a soothing balm to my frayed nerves. But tranquility soon gave way to a creeping unease. The familiar streets of my daily commute began to twist into unfamiliar territory. "I think you missed my turn," I said, my voice tight with concern. No answer came, only the steady hum of the engine cutting through the thickening silence. Panic clawed at my chest as we veered into a desolate industrial zone, the comforting cityscape of fading memory. "Where are you taking me?" I demanded, the volume of my voice rising in tandem with my fear. But the driver, an enigmatic figure of stoic calm, offered no reassurance, no explanation. Desperation gripped me as I grappled with the door, only to find myself trapped, the locks unyielding. My cries for help, loud and frantic, dissolved into the void, unanswered and unacknowledged. The car, as if driven by an unseen force, came to an abrupt halt amidst the eerie tableau of abandoned buildings. The driver turned to face me, his once impassive features now twisted into a chilling, vacant smile. "End of the line," he uttered, the doors unlocking with an ominous click. With every ounce of strength, I fled into the night, my heart racing, the chilling echo of those words propelling me forward. It was only under the flickering neon lights of a distant gas station that I dared to stop, the specter of the car and its driver swallowed by the darkness. The authorities found no trace of my phantom ride, no echo of my terror. But the memory remains, vivid and haunting, a stark reminder of how quickly reality can unravel, leaving you a passenger on a journey not of your choosing, a journey into the heart of fear itself. It was a night shrouded in mist, the kind that muffles sounds and distorts shapes, making the familiar seem foreign. My Uber app pinged, jolting me from the monotony of the empty streets. The pickup location was an upscale yet isolated neighborhood known for its sprawling estates and privacy-seeking residents. I arrived at the address, a mansion with imposing gates and a sense of quietude that belied the opulence. The passenger was a man sharply dressed, his features obscured by the darkness as he slid into the back seat. "Drive," he commanded, his voice devoid of warmth, sending a chill down my spine. As I navigated through the misty streets, I tried to make small talk, attempting to dispel the thickening tension. But his replies were curt, his demeanor unsettlingly calm, as if every word was measured, every gesture calculated. The route he directed me on was circuitous, looping through the city's darkest, most desolate parts. The silence in the car was suffocating, broken only by his occasional cryptic instructions. My discomfort grew with each passing minute, a primal alarm ringing in the depths of my mind. Suddenly, he instructed me to stop at an abandoned industrial park, the buildings around us mere skeletons of their former selves. "Why are we stopping here?" I asked, my voice betraying my fear. He leaned forward, his breath cold against my ear. "I like to play a game," he whispered, his words laced with menace. "The game of predator and prey." My heart raced, panic seizing me. I was no longer a driver. I was the chosen quarry in his twisted hunt. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, but I was ensnared, trapped in the confines of my car. His hand moved, and in the dim light I saw the glint of a blade, its edge catching the ghostly moonlight. "Drive," he ordered again, the threat unmistakable. We moved through the night, a deadly dance of predator and prey, each turn a potential trap, each stop a possible end. The game seemed to last an eternity, the city a labyrinth with no escape. But desperation breeds courage. At a red light, I seized my chance. With a swift motion, I unlocked the door and bolted into the night, my breath ragged, my legs propelled by sheer terror. Behind me, I heard the sound of pursuit, the predator unwilling to relinquish his prey. But I knew the city, its hidden alleys and secret passages. I ducked and weaved, a frantic zigzag and sprint to survival. Eventually, the sounds of pursuit faded, replaced by the distant wail of sirens. I never looked back, never returned to my car. The memories of that night etched into my very soul. The encounter with the man who played a deadly game haunted me, a chilling reminder that predators walk among us, cloaked in the guise of normalcy, wanting to turn the ordinary into a night of terror. The city was cloaked in a late-night hush as I stepped out the crowded bar, the raucous laughter and clinking glasses fading behind me. My phone screen cast a soft glow as I summoned an Uber, The promise of a quick ride home a comforting thought. The app notified me of a car already nearby, a sleek black sedan that matched the description perfectly. As the car pulled up, I noticed the Uber sticker on the windshield, slightly crooked but convincing enough. The driver, a large imposing figure with a stern face, nodded as I got in. "Home, please," I said, offering a weary smile, my senses dulled by the night's festivities. The car pulled away smoothly, but as we drove, a nagging sensation tugged at the edges of my consciousness. The route seemed unnecessarily convoluted, the streets darker and more deserted than they should be at this hour. "Is this the fastest way?" I asked, my voice betraying a hint of concern. The driver didn't respond, his eyes fixed on the road ahead. The silence grew heavy, suffocating. I reached for my phone intending to check the route, but my blood ran cold as soon as I saw the notification. My real Uber driver was still waiting for me a few blocks away. Panic surged through me, a torrent of fear and realization. The man behind the wheel was an imposter, a predator masquerading as a driver. "I think there's been a mistake. I need to get out," I stammered, every instinct screaming at me to escape. The imposter's gaze met mine in the rearview mirror. A chilling smile spread across his face. "No mistake," he said, his voice a low growl. The central locking clicked, a sound as final as a coffin closing. I was trapped, alone with a man whose intentions were dark as the night outside. The car sped on, my heart racing in tandem with the engine's roar. Each turn took me further away from safety, deeper into the imposter's game. But desperation breeds ingenuity. In a moment of frantic courage, I feigned a sudden illness, a plea for help, anything to lower his guard. As he pulled over, concern etched on his face, I seized my chance. I threw open the door and ran like the wind, not daring to look back, my screams for help piercing the night. The ordeal ended with flashing lights and hushed voices, the imposter in cuffs, his game over. But the shadow of that ride lingered, a stark reminder of the vulnerability of trust, of the thin line between safety and peril in the backseat of a stranger's car. The night was winding down, the city's pulse slowing to a steady nocturnal rhythm. I was about to sign off when the request flashed on my Uber app, a pickup from a small, nondescript bank on the outskirts of town. The fare was too good to pass up, so I headed towards the address, the streets empty and silent around me. As I approached the bank, two figures emerged from the shadows, their movements quick and purposeful. They were dressed in dark clothing, their faces obscured by masks. One of them carried a heavy bag, its contents clinking with unmistakable sound of urgency. Before I could process the situation, they were in the car, the air thick with the smell of adrenaline and fear. "Drive now," barked the one in the passenger seat, his voice muffled behind the mask. I caught a glimpse of a gun, its barrel a promise of deadly consequences. My mind raced, panic clawing at the edges of my thoughts. I was an unwilling accomplice in their escape, the streets a blur as I navigated through the city. The one in the back kept glancing nervously out the window, his fingers clutching the bag like a lifeline. "Head to the bridge, and no funny business," the one next to me commanded, the cold metal of the gun pressing against my side. The bridge was notorious, a dead end currently under construction. My heart pounded against my rib cage. This was not going to end well. As we neared the bridge, the sounds of sirens filled the air. A distant but approaching threat. The robbers tensed, a silent communication passing between them. In a split second, I realized this is my only chance. I swerved the car, the tires screeching in protest, the vehicle spinning out of control. Chaos erupted in the confined space of the car. As we came to a shuddering halt, I was already unbuckling my seatbelt, my survival instincts in overdrive. Gunshots rang out, the sound deafening in the enclosed space. But I was out, running for my life, not looking back. The night air was pierced by the sound of sirens and shouts, the bridge bathed in the red and blue lights of the police cars. The robbers were caught, their plan foiled, but the scars of that night remained. I had escaped with my life, but the terror of those moments, the feeling of being caught in the crosshairs of danger haunted me. It was a reminder of the fragility of life, of the thin line between being in the wrong place at the wrong time and the deadly turn of fate.